listening to Pop This, the podcast where three women talk about pop culture. Here are your hosts, Lisa Christiansen, Andrea Gin, and Andrea Warner.
So, I know we talk a lot. This is a feminist pop culture podcast. We talk a lot about women movies, women stories. We're women here. I just want to say that one of the places that I tend to really feel an amazing sisterhood is at the nail salon. And I was there yesterday, and I was so impressed with the guest list? I don't know. People who are coming in. So I was in.
The guest list?
I don't know.
VIP nail salon with a
what kind of nail salon is this?
This is a pretty exclusive one. So I, go in and I'm getting my gel because I like in the summer to not have to worry about my hands. And I go in and it's like the regular kind of people in the afternoon. And all of a sudden this woman came in with a walker, and she was she was like definitely older than I usually see in the nail salon, and the most stylish person I've ever seen. She was incredible.
I love that.
It
Me
was
too.
so great. And she was, and everyone knew her in the salon. Like everyone was calling her by name. Did you want the regular? She was changing it up this week, doing a different color. And then behind me, while I was sitting there, this man came in, and he was there for his mani-pedi. And I thought, okay, well, I've definitely seen men at the nail salon, but they were, so what do you want? Just like regular polish on your toes? He's like, no, I want something purple with sparkles. And everybody in there was like, yes. At the same time, Jumanji is up on the screen in there.
I love salons with TVs.
Right? Yeah. And not only, they're so good in this place because, I'm a bit sad. Usually I have pedicure, so I love the massage chair. But when you're sitting there, you've got one screen. But then they've got another screen because when you have to sit to get your nails done, right, your hands, you have to look at the opposite screen, the opposite wall. And they even have that covered.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
How do you pay for your nails? Do you pay ahead of time?
Okay,
or
good question.
Do you stress about having to potentially damage your nails by taking your credit card out of your wallet afterwards?
This is a great question. So when I get traditional manicures, I pay first. Okay. When I get gel, which I do now, they instantly dry.
Right.
They're dry right away. So I don't have to worry about that system at all.
Right.
That makes sense.
But I agree with you. I learned that trick a long time ago. Pay ahead so you don't have to put your hand in, and then just go home and just sit there like you're meditating. So you don't touch anything. Stop it. Yeah, like that. But I have to say that I know that the whole gel situation is very complicated. Have you both had gel manicures?
I have, and I don't like doing it because I feel like my nails get really weak when they take it off, and I don't like that period of having damaged weak nails.
That abrasive machine.
Yeah, I
scraping.
hate that.
Yeah.
So, but I also hate waiting half a day for your nails to fully cure, and so as a result, I rarely get my nails done because it's just a lot of trouble. And it looks a lot better. I understand that you look like it makes you happy. You look better. But it's just it's just a lot of hassle for something that I don't find makes me that much happier.
So I have never had a gel manicure, but I used to sometimes get shellac. Mm-hmm. But the problem with that is that I would peel the shellac off and damage my nail underneath. And then a few times where I had it, like I finally kept it on and had it redone, I would also find my nail damaged. I have kind of weak nails anyways because I'm anemic. But for a few months, between December and February, I was going once a month to this slow manicure place that that's their whole thing, is that they are like slow manicures. And so it's a very small little place. There's no TV, there's nothing like that. But the person who did my nails did such a thorough and amazing job. And I got this, I would always get this sort of fun top coat that would look like little, it felt like little tiny glitter rocks over top of the actual nail polish. And that helped it, one, dry really well, so I didn't actually screw them up. And two, it wasn't so heavy on my nails that I was irritated by it and had to peel it off. And so I finally found something that worked. But then like I haven't done anything for like the last 5 months, but I'm really excited to go back to it eventually. And like but AG, I totally like, yeah, I have screwed up my nails so many times leaving the salon and partly paying and stuff. So this was a real revelation to me that I could find a manicure that like the 2 layers of different types of polish helped it set and cure. And like, I didn't have to wait 6 hours for it to be like fully fundamentally dry. And I also kept my credit card outside of my pocket and just sat it next to my phone the entire time. And then the very nice person who did my nails, they tucked my credit card into my pocket at the end of the time after we paid. So they were very, and like in a really like nice way, you know? So anyway, that's been like my,
at some
my
point, nail salons will become like they'll get some kind of app or something like Uber where you can just pay like after
by
on your phone.
for sure.
Oh, yeah,
That will
that's
solve
a good
so
point.
many problems.
I do love when after I get a pedicure and I wear flip-flops up because I have one just up the street, like 2 blocks from me. And I love how they just help me put my shoe on like I'm a like Cinderella or something. Like, we'll get this on you. Don't worry. We will not spoil your nails. And I just, there's something about the camaraderie, I think, in a place like that too, that we're all here to do something that isn't necessary at all, right? There is nothing necessary about this process, but we've all agreed here that it's important. We're all on the same page. This is...
Have you ever seen Queen Latifah's movie Beauty Shop?
Yeah, exactly.
That's my only experience I can think of that sounds like what you're talking about, because I've never been to, I just don't consistently go to nail salons, and my hair salon is not like that at all. So, but the Beauty Shop movie does look very nice. It would be nice to have that camaraderie.
Yeah, my nail salon is very much like that. Everyone knows each other. They've, like if I call, they're, oh, hi, Lisa. We'll see you at noon or whatever. Like I go there so often, and I just like them all so much. I enjoy the whole process. I enjoy just the lingering after, to wait for everything to dry. I love hearing, this is terrible, but like if 2 women come together as friends, I love overhearing their conversation about, because
Look, I love a good eavesdrop is great.
Right? And there's just something about the nail salon that makes your conversations, really meaningful. Like you're talking about important things. I don't know why that is, but anyway, I think I just wanted to remind people that if they're feeling a little, go get your nails done. Not only will your hands feel really fun, like I love the feeling, the way my hands work after. I just like touching things and showing them off. But also there's just such a lovely sense of community inside the nail salon of people, and it's joyous and it's always beautiful colors.
I like colorful things and camaraderie, and I love to spend time in something that like segments of the population have said have very little value, but I find value in them. And honestly, that's my segue into what we're going to talk about, because that
Well done.
that feels like this show. Also, I have felt in the past that I related very hard to one of the characters in this show who said that they had an ugly foot. I've never thought I had a good foot, but I have definitely thought I have like one uglier foot. And it was a very odd, relatable moment for me in this show. And then to like have the character empowered by her ugly foot. God, this really is one of the smartest, funniest shows ever.
But do
you are going to put your best foot forward. Oh, sorry.
do you think that like is your foot misshapen, one foot misshapen, or is it like a totally thing that's only you notice, like as it is with the character in GIRLS5EVA?
So, in all honesty, to get real, I recently went to like a foot health person. Me and my grandma went because my grandma's like deeply ashamed of her feet, and as an older person, you just end up with like this like toe fungus and like rough feet and stuff, and she can't take care of them properly anymore. And doesn't want me to do it. And frankly, I don't want to do it either. So anyway, we went to this like foot healthcare person last month. She's a professional. She's super cool. I love her so much. Her name is Tiffany with a Y in the first part and then a Y at the end as well. Anyway, I told her, like, look, I think my feet are kind of like hideous, and I just like I've never dealt with it, and I stopped wearing sandals years ago, like blah 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 blah. And I'd had like a little toenail fungal thing from a bad pedicure like a number of years ago, so I was like extra tucked up in myself about that. And she looked at them, she's like, your feet are dry, but I have something that I think could really help you that could make this work. I can cut your nails so that you don't have ingrown toenails, and we can grow those out. And yeah, I think otherwise you're actually probably pretty fine. And you know, this will be fixable like pretty fast. I swear to God, you guys, like, she doesn't give a pedicure, like a color pedicure or anything, but she just, like, the foot health appointment was so incredible that after like 2 weeks, my dry feet had like gone away with this thing she gave me. That she just gave me samples of so I could try it out and see if I liked it. She had like reshaped my toenails so that they were fine. It turns out the fungus had grown out, so that was fine as well after like 4 years. And I just painted my toenails by myself like 3 weeks ago for the first time in forever, and they look so pretty and cute. And now I am shopping for sandals.
And you also are becoming a foot model. And that was not anything anyone expected.
I'm never going to be on Wiki Feet. I got to say, I'll never be on Wiki Feet. But I just like, weirdly, like, just sort of meaningful moments in various different ways to get my health back into a better space.
Excellent.
That is a great story. I'm glad it worked out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Goes to show you.
Thank you.
You just like put a little effort into taking care of something and can solve something that's been bugging you for years.
And
Or
believe
at the
in
very
yourself.
least-
Or believe in your feet.
At the very least, just like, I understand like task avoidance. Like, and especially if you think it's something that like you have some shame around. And so it takes a bit to get there. But like, you know, once you deal with it, it feels pretty good.
I feel great now.
There's our learning moment for today.
They
everybody.
are, yes. There you go, yeah.
Also, we're here to talk about a show that I think actually has like tons of learning moments and also deals with task avoidance. Oh God, nails and task avoidance. Guys, this show has everything. Plus great songs. I'm Andrea Warner.
I'm Lisa Christiansen.
I'm Andrea Gin.
And you're listening to Pop This. And thank you so much for waiting for me to come back so we could talk about this show. In my heart of hearts, I thought, oh no, they're going to talk about this without me. But I had saved GIRLS5EVA. I had never watched it. And so watching it while I was sick, I mean, yes, I understand that like my headspace was perhaps a little bit bent in different directions, but this was precisely what I needed. I've now watched it 3 times in full in the last like 16 weeks.
I remember because like I probably wasn't the only one, but I recommended
Yes, I remember that.
for you to watch the show.
Yep.
And I was really surprised that you hadn't watched it because it just seemed like something that was so up your alley.
Oh, absolutely up my alley.
Yeah.
But sometimes I save stuff until I'm like ready for it, or like until I think like, I have moments to like really dedicate to it. And sometimes that backfires, obviously. But like, this was a huge, huge show for me. This and Loot were 2 shows that like were very important to me during some somewhat dark moments. So it was great.
Have you watched the Schitt's Creek finale yet?
Oh yeah, I watched.
Oh, okay. Because you were going to put that off, remember?
I was putting it off,
Yeah,
but
okay.
no, we're good. I
All
watched
right,
that.
okay.
I watched the documentary. We're good there.
Oh, okay. All right.
but,
Just checking in on your little game here. But yeah.
Yeah, no, my game of like, will you put this off to the point where you no longer exist so you can watch this? Yeah. I love a little, like, I'm constantly edging my pop culture with my existence.
Well, or it's just like I sometimes feel like you just never want to find out what happens to anything. You just like start something off, and then you're like, at some point I'll find out where the story goes, but not now.
Sometimes, but I don't think it's because I don't want to find out what happens. It's because I probably either care too much or don't care at all. Those are my 2 speeds.
There you go. Yeah.
It's like Honestly, I watched the end of Palm Royale because I was just like, I guess I'll see where this goes. It was my utter ambivalence to the show that kept me in it. I did not
What?
save
That doesn't
it.
make any sense.
I understand. I'm not saying this makes sense. I'm saying like sometimes if I love something so much, I will like Justified. I have 4 seasons left of that show and the new one. I have not watched them. I love that show.
I don't even know
Yeah,
what that
love
show is.
Oh, it's really great.
It's the guy with the cowboy hat, right? Timothy Oliphant.
Timothy Oliphant.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I love it so much. But yeah, that show has been off the air and then come back. But have I now watched Girls5EVA 3 times? That's because I love it so much.
Do you know, I finished 2 seasons of The Lincoln Lawyer for reasons I can't even explain.
Wow.
I don't even know what was going on, but I was just like, oh, well, here we go again, I guess.
I bring this up all the time. But like, I could not pay you enough money to finish Deadlock. And you watched all of Lincoln Lawyer? It's just like I can't even.
Yep. Now, Deadlock I did finish, and I have watched it twice because I made Carlos wanted to watch it after I had finished it because he missed it with me the first time around. So, and I would watch Deadlock a 3rd time as well.
I feel like I'm about to get kicked off the podcast here or something.
No, let's keep our focus.
Deadlock. Well, just because A-Dubs and I love Deadlock so much, it's one of our favorite shows, and like you just were like couldn't even get past episode 2, and I just it's always going to be something I bring up when you say you've watched like 10 seasons of something horrible.
I know, but I have made this argument many times on this podcast that sometimes we just want some middling entertainment. I don't want to be challenged. I don't want to have to think deep. I want someone to write
Deadlock's a
something.
comedy.
Yeah, but it was very thoughtful, and it was in a place I've never been.
All right, guys. We got a real time crunch on this one,
yeah.
so we gotta bring it back. We gotta bring it
Yeah, we
back.
can't just bash Lisa on the podcast.
I mean, we can.
You
but
can,
like,
but
let's
You're
make
the one
it
that
about
brought up
Girls5EVA.
Lincoln Lawyer, not me. You were just putting yourself out there.
My guess is you've never seen it, so I'm just saying.
All right. AG, do you want to read the background?
Sure. Girls5EVA is an American musical comedy television series created by Meredith Scardino that premiered on May 6, 2021 on Peacock. It follows 4 women who were part of a girl group named Girls5EVA, which was briefly popular around the year 2000 before fading into one-hit wonder status. Now, unfulfilled in their various lives, they reunite to try and find musical success again. In June 2021, it was renewed for a 2nd season, which premiered on May 5th, 2022. In October of that year, after Peacock decided not to continue the series, it was announced that it would move to Netflix for its 3rd season, which just came out earlier this year, and no word whether the show will be back yet for season 4. I hope it is.
Sad trombone sound. Lisa, it's a very brief synopsis, but
It sure
would you
is.
Please?
I
Would you
will.
please?
A 1990s girl group that managed to score only 1 hit gets an unexpected chance at a comeback when their song is sampled by an up-and-coming rapper, and that's from Wikipedia.
Again, the briefest of synopses because, let's face it, there's 3 seasons of the show, but there's ultimately only 22 episodes. Mm-hmm. And so have you both watched all of the show?
Yes.
No.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't know that there would be spoilers then, Lisa.
It's
I
not
apologize.
spoilers. I've just picked and gone through all the episodes. I'm fine. I'm fine with you can spoil.
Okay. So how much have you seen?
Enough.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. Now, this connects us back to the Lincoln Lawyer conversation that she completed. I would just like to remind everybody that has been entered as evidence in this case. Before we get into what Lisa is going to tell us next. Let's hear
I'm
this.
so sorry. I totally thought that you had watched it all. I apologize.
No, don't apologize. No. Oh, body language. Look at that. Nobody can see this.
I'm just leaning back.
Just let that bomb drop. Here it
Yeah,
goes.
like let's hear this.
Yeah.
Let's hear this.
I'm just gonna say it's not my favorite show.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Look at your face.
Okay.
Oh my god.
Okay.
But however, we've established that Lincoln Lawyer is also not your favorite show, but you've watched the whole thing.
Yeah, I did.
I gotta say, didn't anticipate this being an early morning fight for all of us, and I love it. I love the energy we're gonna bring to this episode. So,
Yeah.
So have you made it through season 1?
Yeah, I did.
Oh,
yes.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. I just. Okay. This is what I feel like. I feel
Sure,
like
yeah.
for these sorts of kind of comedies, and there's lots of them that I've liked. They have a kind of feel that I like to revisit. So I mean, not that Gilmore Girls is on the same wavelength, it's not, but something like like a 30 Rock or a Parks and Rec or The Office, or I'm just trying to think of I think even the same groups of people are involved, right, in so many of these comedies.
30 Rock for sure, yeah.
And Parks and Rec, because Paula Pell was I saw her on there, and anyway, it just felt like it was lacking this feeling that I like to go back to, that there's like they created this mini universe where I feel like, oh, I enjoy that place, I want to be there. It just felt like it didn't have that. It felt like it had great lines and they were all delivered, like, and the songs and everything, but I just didn't feel like I was grabbed into this world that was created and that I wanted to hang out in.
Well, that actually might relate to sort of one of the things that one of the critics talks about as to perhaps why no one's watching. So to be fair, he says no one's watching. Jackson McHenry wrote an essay for Vulture. No one's watching the best comedy on Netflix.
Yes, yes. I'm aware that I'm an outlier. I know that.
No. But there's a ton of people who've never watched
No,
it. But he was,
he's saying nobody's watching, so you're actually not an
nobody.
outlier. You're part of
you are part of.
I'm just part of the problem.
No, but he's one of his arguments, which I thought was super interesting, and I hadn't considered it before, is that there aren't enough episodes of this show to give you that universe, that universe feeling that where you are immersed completely. So with only 22 episodes, if you aren't in it from the get-go, it would be hard to sort of have enough space for a more casual viewer to fully get pulled in and fall in love the way that they might with a 30 Rock or a Parks and Rec or what have you.
Right. Because there's a reason why something like The Office continues to be, on Netflix, the most popular. And it's not because everyone likes to be at work, or Brooklyn Nine-Nine or something like that too. There's but again, those are place. Yeah.
Those are all 22 episode seasons for the most part.
Yes.
And they have a lot more space. But I think the Parks and Rec thing was kind of interesting because Rashida Jones was just doing an interview last week because she has a new show coming out. And so she was talking about Parks and Rec and how it was not popular on NBC. Mm-hmm. They fought every season to find out whether or not they were going to be renewed. It did end up going, 7 seasons. They're slightly truncated seasons for a couple of them. But that it has had this whole new life thanks to Netflix. And now it's back on Crave and back on Peacock and stuff. But it has a larger universe. And it had time for an audience to find it. And now it's talked about as if it was a huge hit. And it just wasn't.
Yeah.
It never was. It wasn't a 30 Rock. It wasn't, I'm trying to think of what are other comedies?
Was
it wasn't
Community,
Friends,
what was Community? Was it?
Community was kind of a cult hit too, right? In that it found a much larger audience on Netflix after. It had a very dedicated fan base when it was on, but that's another show that has benefited from what they call the Netflix effect.
Right. Yeah. And when I was reading it, they're saying GIRLS5EVA hasn't quite got that Netflix effect, right?
Because there's just not enough.
Yes.
But it's also too soon. The show's only been on Netflix for
3 seasons,
a year.
Yeah.
And it's only got 3 seasons. Netflix needs to, if they can't just They can't just move something over and then expect it to become a Gilmore Girls even. Because Gilmore Girls actually is a good example too. Like it has this whole other life because it had 7 seasons that everyone could spend time with on Netflix for a while.
Yeah.
And then Netflix picked it up for like that atrocious 4-parter.
That we don't, we don't speak of.
Yes.
We don't speak of. But like that's just not. They also did that to Good Girls. Did you guys ever watch that show?
Yes.
With it's great, but like again, they had 1 or 2 extra seasons on Netflix and then they canceled it but it's huge. Like anyway.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because like I didn't watch the show for the universe it created or to feel comfort. Like it's just like a sharp satire to me, and like the jokes, like that's why I'm so shocked that Lisa, you didn't love the show, because it's like it was like 30 Rock to me. Like it's just like sharp kind of like of the day satire, and like it's just joke after joke after joke, and I just watched it to laugh. Like I like the characters, but I guess
I feel like sometimes part of me was going, I get it. Like as opposed to being surprised by the joke. It had a very kind of like, this is what we're satirizing, and it didn't really, to me, open up and become a bigger story about something. I don't know. That I feel bad saying that now, because I know, like, of course there's things I'm grinning at and stuff like that, but it just felt like, with Bowen Yang coming on, and he actually did get his start as a lip syncer, right? And and do you know which one I mean now? This episode?
Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I know I was just like, no, I get it. I get the joke. And it just didn't feel to go anywhere, really. And so I don't know. It just hasn't clicked for me. I'm sorry. I feel bad.
It's fine that it hasn't clicked for you. I think it's one of those shows that I personally found that like season 2 is even better than the first season. And some people don't agree with me about season 3, but I think season 3 is pretty brilliant. Like it has like this story where it ends, and I understand if it does end and it doesn't come back, I'll just be extremely sad about that. But it has this like really brilliant conclusion. And one of the things I think that, yes, it's a satire and it does that really brilliantly and it's really funny. And especially like the bands of that like 2000 era where you're moving out of Lilith Fair and you're moving into Spice Girls, and you have this other tension of like boy bands. And it's actually like such a short-lived moment in our culture. If we think about that period from 1998 to 2001, maybe 2002, if you're kind of really pushing it, 2003. And then it's kind of, we go into like sort of alternative music and more hip hop stuff. So it's just this like very perfect little section of time. What I really have been enjoying about it is like the ways that it skewers how the music industry chews up these women and tells them that their value as commodities is such a brief window, and how they sort of, all of them kind of decide that they're going to push back against that in their 40s and 50s, like 20 years later. So I've been really like enjoying that piece of it too. Like I also love the fact that one of the GIRLS5EVA, it's only 4 girls now, but they still keep the 5th person, Ashley Park, kind of as an active character throughout, even if it's like only in recurring status. I think Ashley Park is a genius, and I love her so much. And so I love when she comes in. Anyway, but yeah, I've
also seen all of Emily in Paris, if you want to make fun of me as well.
Wow. You're just making this worse.
I've never seen Emily in Paris at all. But like, no,
you know,
but
Ashley Park's in that, right? You do know
I
that.
do.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
But no, I just think like there's the skewering of the industry and the like sort of like sexism, like, and I mean, it's got moments that are classic Tina Fey where like she's sort of a little bit poking too much fun at the idea of like social awareness and quote unquote wokeness when she has sort of a barbed relationship with inclusivity. But I think that they do a really good job of like Sarah Bareilles. What a revelation. Anyway, and obviously Renee Elise Goldsberry. I love it all so much. And it's fine for me that that's not for you, but I think if you gave it a bit of a chance for season 2, you might find something that you kind of enjoy.
But I feel really, it's just that it's nothing bad. It's not like it's everything's good about it. It just doesn't make it just, I feel like there's no surprises for me per episode. It's kind of more of the same.
It's a
each episode.
sitcom.
I know, but it's also a satire.
Your expectations are very high.
No, I can lower them. Lincoln Lawyer. I can lower.
But yeah, A-dubs, I agree with you on Sarah Bareilles. Like, she's so great in this and so funny, and you don't expect it. But there's also the layer of, like, you know, that she, like, her personal experience in the music industry must have informed a lot of these jokes because she's been through it, you know, and
Yes.
she knows what she's talking about, and she's been that person that's probably been through the mill in terms of doing this, but she's still around, right?
And Renee Elise Goldsberry too, right? Like, even though she's coming at it from like a Broadway standpoint, like still being a working singer in any of these industries, like that's absolutely informing sort of aspects of this. And I think Busy Phillips has an interesting viewpoint too, coming out of like cult favorite teen stuff, like coming out of Freaks and Geeks, sort of having that front row sort of ticket to her best friend and Dawson Creek, like just all of the stuff for her. And
Are we married though to her performance of this character?
Oh, it gets, honestly, Lisa, if that's one of your things, it gets so much better in season 2 and season 3. By the end of season 3, she's actually one of your favorite characters, which is wild.
Because I mean, like the whole
No, I know. Season 1.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But that's
Yeah.
that's one of the things that I think the Vulture article is getting at, is that like it's a bit one note early on because that's a sitcom. It takes a while to find its sort of footing. If you think, like, I have rewatched Parks and Rec a lot. Do I ever begin in season 1? Never.
Oh,
I begin
okay.
like 6 episodes into season 2.
Uh-huh.
That's the sweet spot. But it had a chance to find its footing. And that's not something that this show has been given that opportunity, which is why, like, I think, like, season 1, if it doesn't hook you right away, season 2, there's so much more there for everyone.
And we have to also talk about Paula Pell in this series.
Oh my God.
She's amazing.
Yeah, I will say that I love her so much. I think she should just do everything. And
Yeah.
Honestly, you know, like I can't think of anything I haven't laughed so hard at that she's been in.
And her real life wife plays her ex in the show.
Yeah.
And like, it's so funny. And she also gets so much more to do in season 2 and season 3. Like, I just watching her, it's spoiler for you, Lisa, if you do go into it, but like watching her work her way through 178 types of women, and then watching Paula Pell as just a like the human actor that played that, then embrace it in her social media feed and like go through that 178 types of women. Oh my God, it's so funny. It's so funny. And this is the kind of stuff, like, I think the only way that this show might get a season 4 is if it ends up getting an Emmy nomination for something, maybe. I don't know. Those are out soon. But like, I just want the chance. I want the chance to have like even 8 more episodes of this show could really extend its shelf life pop culturally for like the future, you know, and give a chance to other shows. Because like a show about 4 women over 40 who are just trying to prove that they deserve to like make art. Like, it's,
But also,
this is everything I want.
but also kind of have to live within the art they made as like teenagers.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh my God. Having like some of those early, like those, well, that's the other thing is like most of the music that's coming out of this show is great. Even if it's not like, it's funny, but like, it's also like, I have never, and this might be like everyone I've talked to has said to me, it's the only show, not everyone obviously, but almost everyone I've talked to has said to me, it's the only show where I never skip the credits. And it's true. I never skip the credits. I watch and I listen to them saying that song every time, and it makes me laugh every single time, which is rare for me because I am notoriously a credit skipper.
But it just occurred to me that, Lisa, you may, this calls back to our Celine Dion conversation of the last episode, where you're like, all these documentaries want to show celebrities being normal when they're not normal. And maybe that's what you don't like about GIRLS5EVA, because it's like they are celebrities, but they all are now having very average lives like, you know, a dentist or not average lives, normal lives of like people like just taking care of their families, but also trying to be like a pop singer. And you see behind the scenes that they are just, you know, their lives are not that remarkable.
I agree. There should be something, you know, kind of middle ground on but I think the thing also is that all of them wish they could be living, like, remember the glass piano and all that? Like,
oh, for sure. Oh my God, the glass piano is so funny.
Yeah, they'd like to be, you know, living in another way if they could. But yes,
for sure. Like that thirst though, right? Like that thirst that like Wiki has, Renee, Elise Goldsberry. Like I think she again, like all of these characters do get so much more refined as the show goes on, and like so it was kind of wild to me that like by the end of season 3, Summer believably kind of saves the day by virtue of all of her influencer multi-level marketing nonsense, where she has been like selling herself, her husband, her family, and Jesus for so long that she begins to understand things. Like she has secretly been smarter than she seems like the entire time, but she didn't know it. And watching Busy Phillips play that coming into its own is really wonderful to me. Like I was really shocked on the second go around of my viewing experience, where I was just like suddenly like Summer's character is so much more than I thought she was. I also really appreciate Andrew Reynolds being the husband.
Oh yeah, I like
the Kev,
him. Yeah,
the Kev to her Summer.
Yeah.
Just even the joke of him losing part of his eye function because of his bang covering one eye, like his boy band devotion to his look. Oh my God, so funny.
I want to point out here that I have not repeat watched The Lincoln Lawyer. It's not
yet.
Like it was a one and done. Like
we don't know.
I'm not going back.
We don't know for sure.
Might be a season 3. I don't know. I haven't checked to see. Maybe.
Do you like the songs? Like, do you have a list of your favorite songs from the show?
I was going to say, like, it also, the reason that it may not be, like, popular with the general audience is maybe, like, you have to have been, like, a music fan of that specific era of music, or, like, around in the 90s and the 2000s to understand a lot of these jokes. Because I'm thinking about, you know, like, when they do that rich woman's birthday party, and like a character who is exactly like Jewel is there and performing. Yes. And
they pay tribute to that Jessica Simpson Jewel thing that like
oh
my God, it's brilliant.
Yeah,
one of my favorite memes.
But like but also like create a song like What If the World Was Round? That's just like sounds exactly like Jewel's music.
That's played by Ingrid Michaelson, by the way.
Yeah.
Also a really talented singer-songwriter. Anyway.
But you really have to have lived through the Jewel era to appreciate the genius of that satire.
Yeah, I agree. And like also all of Wiki's like random sort of celebrity adjacent jobs. And I think that is so specific to the C-list celebrity culture. Like that little C-list industrial complex of people trying to like just trying to break out, and like yes, she's really a brilliant singer, but that's not enough. And like that's just how celebrity culture works, and like that's so interesting to me. But I gotta say, when we get to like season 2 episode 6 and we get to the first time they sing BPE, Big Pussy Energy, I fell apart and I laughed. So, and then we get to see all the different ways that they kind of continue to revisit it. And when they finally do it as a deliberate protest in a state where they are criminalizing abortion again and reproductive rights, incredible. And it like just made me laugh so hard, because they are taking on some stuff that is extremely contemporary, that also was an issue still 20 years ago, and they are trying to figure out how to like negotiate that as adult women now, which again I find very relatable. I wish I had written a song at all, ever. But I also wish I had written a song like BPE that I could then just like sing as a protest anthem that's like also a pop banger. I like pop bangers that are protest songs. It really pleases me. And anthems of like, you know, bringing a certain vibe into a room.
Yeah, for sure.
No, I feel bad.
I don't know.
But, you know,
Lisa just has her head down.
In my defense,
You don't have to have your head down.
No, but I'm just saying that there was a moment, this is years ago, before Jon Stewart retired the first time, or now he's back to The Daily Show. And then Trevor Noah took over. But I had reached a point where I couldn't watch the show anymore. I didn't want to talk about it anymore. I just felt like the smugness of satire sometimes starts to drive, not saying the show has that, but I just gave up on satire. I just thought we're in a terrible, terrible time. And to have to hear people keep going, did you see John Oliver last night? Did you see Jon Stewart last night? They were making fun of things. I'm like, yeah, I did. But also, did you know that that's really happening? Like before you quote this to me, that that it was so funny the way they satirized it. It's actually really happening. And I feel like a big wet blanket when I say that, but I just felt like it almost, I don't know, satire. I'd like to see some new things on satire. I'd like to hear us have conversations about, like, you know, I get what we're saying in this show about the way women are treated in the music industry and things. And I was watching the Indigo Girls documentary as well, and just thinking about how unfair all of that was, of how they were treated. And sometimes I don't want to laugh about that.
Yeah, I get that. From my takeaway from watching this is that the show doesn't want us all to just laugh at it. Like it's also talking about like, it's talking about it like sort of seriously, but like giving us the tools to be able to sort of like unpack it with humor, you know? And like so it doesn't, like, to me, it feels very different than watching like, you know, a Stephen Colbert show or like a John Oliver or anything like that. Like I think, and I think that those all have their places, and like people have to come to stuff like in whatever way works for them. So like, it just might not be a show that's for you.
Yeah, do you remember, I remember that episode of Saturday Night Live where Tina Fey came on with the big sheet cake. Do you remember that?
No.
And it was such an interesting uproar. So she came on the Weekend Update to say that things are crazy. It's very upsetting. It's wild out there. And so this is during Trump. So I don't know what year this would have been. Anyway, she said, what you need to do is I get by, I just get a sheet cake and start eating it. And that's how I get by. And then the next day, people were like, how can she be so white woman insensitive? Like the world is actually tumbling and she's telling everyone to eat a sheet cake. Like it was a really amazing backlash. And I think it was a big moment for her to realize that maybe some of her satire wasn't landing. As you mentioned. Yeah.
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 Well, I mean, it is hard when you're going to go like full let them eat cake, which is obviously, I think, in her joke or was meant to be a joke or what have you, but it didn't quite land. But I mean, that's Tina Fey in general. Like she's one of those people that I think of as sort of like a problematic fave, like quote unquote, you know, like some of the stuff really works, some of it doesn't. And like some of her ideas about all kinds of things, like all of her shows have some issues. This is the show where I think of like, because she is deeply involved with the show. She's an executive producer along with her producing partner and creative partner, Robert Carlock. One of the things that I think is so good about this show is it has some of her influence, but for the most part, Elizabeth Scardina, I think is like the main writer. Meredith Scardino. I think she brings a lot more perspective. So that it's like the satire for me is balancing out a lot of sort of human moments, actual genuine emotion that I think a lot of Tina Fey's stuff is a bit allergic to. So like in this show, I've cried a few times watching this show. That has never happened to me in anything else that for the most part that Tina Fey has done, at least not of like genuine feeling.
Yeah. No, but okay. I was just, go on.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, like, as a middle-aged woman, like most of these jokes are about middle-aged women, like the problems that we face and how it's so awful that you have to laugh at it. And I don't know, like I I find it cathartic because it feels like there are other women dealing with these things and there's no sort of solutions to them, and all we can do is laugh.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Every once in a while I turn earnest, and I don't know why it's on this show, but that happens.
But there are, yeah. Again, no pressure, of course, and you have to do what like is good for you. But if you did give season 2 a try, I think there would be a couple of earnest moments where it would ground some of that satire for you and feel less one note, and like start to feel like more of a larger universe.
Right. Okay. I was just going to say, if we did a supercut of the number of times you said, I didn't mean to cry, but.
Look, I got no apologies anymore. No, I cry all the time, and the number of times I've cried on this podcast alone.
Yeah, that's what I need. Jesus.
Yes. Yeah.
Very funny. I didn't think I was going to cry in this dog commercial, but be that as it may, there I was. You know,
there I was.
Yeah,
there I was.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, this is one of my faves, and so I know how I feel. I will say, GIRLS5EVA for me pops in a really big way.
I agree. I think it's just a fun watch. Like it's not something that I was like, oh, I gotta go back to it and watch it every day. It was more like I'm turning on GIRLS5EVA and watching like 5 episodes in a row and laughing and then coming
and then
back.
You would have been done in 4.5 days.
Exactly.
There's only 22 episodes.
Exactly. It doesn't take very long to watch at all. Yeah, but
I'm going to give it a pop. I am. I think I'm glad the show's there. I laughed a lot of times. It's just not my favorite ever.
Yeah, not like Lincoln Lawyer.
You know, I didn't ever say that was a favorite.
You just watched every single episode of it.
Maybe not closely, maybe, the old show that you can watch. Well, actually, I had to do, there was quite a
I guess what we've established in this podcast is just because you spend 30 hours watching something, it doesn't mean you like it.
Yeah, I can actually totally agree with that. Yeah,
it's true. I mean, I would not come on this podcast and do this, like, for sure. But I don't know. It filled a hole at a particular time in my life. Who's to say why? I don't know. I don't know how many years ago was that? It was a couple.
Last year.
Maybe there was. Oh, is that it?
Yeah.
Oh.
I say this as someone who I have not watched all 10 seasons or whatever there are of Billions, but I have watched about 7.
Okay, there we go. Yes.
Honestly, I'm never going to do it again, but it filled a void at one point where I was like, okay, I guess I need to do this. But I think sometimes and this is for me only, it really is just something to have on. It's like what we talked about before, something to have on where you are also playing a game on your phone, or you're doing some kind of administrative work or whatever. Mm-hmm. Maybe you're doing, I don't know, house stuff, and it's just on.
Yeah.
You're not even maybe looking at the screen the whole time, and most of the time maybe you aren't even looking at all. But people talking to you.
And you could make an argument that it was very similar to a murder podcast, because it did, you know what I mean? It was just one of those procedural it didn't have.
Oh, you're talking specifically to Lincoln Lawyer.
Yeah. No, I know. I'm just saying that
yeah.
It didn't have wasn't like a Magnum PI where it was one murder per episode. It was like the whole series was solving one case. So maybe that got me. I don't know. I shouldn't have brought it up. I apologize to all the fans of Lincoln Lawyer.
Well, how about something you legitimately recommend, Lisa?
Okay.
Wholeheartedly recommend.
Yeah, season 18 of The Real Housewives of the OC just started. Speaking of high art.
Wow.
Yep. No, that's great.
This is where you're going with your recommend. You're building up to this moment, this whole episode.
I love it. It's just a long troll from Lisa.
I'm not watching an hour of GIRLS5EVA, but 50 seasons of Real Housewives, yes.
I love it.
I have a feeling they're all fans, so I'm not going to have to anyway. Season 18 started with a bang. Alexis is back. She is now dating Shannon Bedore's ex. So no one thought Alexis was going to be back. But now that she's with John, of course, that's whoa, what's going to happen? So anyway, first episode, big fireworks. So it's going to be a great season. That's all I'm going to say. Season 18, Real Housewives of the OC.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you. AG, what about you?
Well, our conversation at the beginning of this episode about nails made me pivot my recommendation. I'm going to recommend Beauty Shop, Queen Latifah's movie from 2005.
Yay!
It is
Love that
like
movie.
it's just a really fun, warm comedy that will give you that feeling of like, I wish I had like a community at the beauty shop that I could go hang out with every week and get my hair done. But that's not my life. But you can touch that feeling by watching this movie.
Yes, I love that movie.
Awesome. That's fantastic. I'm going to embrace, again, more of what my existence is right now, possibly why I'm relating to Girls5EVA so hard. This book is called What Fresh Hell Is This? Perimenopause, Menopause, and Indignities and You. Other Indignities and You. And it is by Heather Carina. They are a writer, and they've spent like the last 2 decades getting millions of adolescents around the world through the wholly unnecessary crucible puberty is made to be. That's a quote from the write-up of their book. And now they've moved into the menopausal transition that could only have been written while experiencing both perimenopause and a pandemic, and even then, barely. It's time, bloodied, truly, and inspiring, limping through this particular finish line together for a journey through yet another unavoidable life passage. So this is a feminist, health-forward, no BS, gender-inclusive walk through our bodies. And I am really excited. I've only just started it, but I just think like Heather is a brilliant person. And this was a recommendation from another brilliant person I know, Zena Sharman, who is an incredible writer as well. And I can't wait to sort of finish it and have a few more answers about my life.
Fantastic. I mean, if that only could become required reading at some point for everybody, we wouldn't
100%.
have all this weirdness going on. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for listening. If you want to email us, please email us at popthiscollective@gmail.com or reach out to us on any of the socials.
You could rate and review us 5 stars.
And you could say thank you to Andrea Gin, who still likes me apparently, but is our co-host and producer. And I'm not going to even recommend The Lincoln Lawyer, but it is on Netflix. That's all.
Yeah. Once you're done your Girls5EVA watch or rewatch, then you could check out whatever you like after that.
So much on there. Huge.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.